Citizens of Amalur, welcome to your podcast. This is The Well, a Kingdoms of Amalur show brought to you by the community at 38watch.com. In this episode, we're talking lore. We'll be discussing our character backgrounds, our favorite quests and stories in the game, and of course, we'll even be talking about the Teeth of Naros. This was a really fun episode to do. Lots of laughs. I'm sure you guys are going to love it. Alright, without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so today we are joined by Nybling. He is the guild leader of First Watch. Let's hear a little bit about yourself, dude.
Well, first of all, it's good to be here. I have enjoyed the last couple episodes you've put out. I've been a poster at 38 Watch now for... it seems forever, almost 4 years now, I think, and I've been following 38 Studios since that post came up on FOH regarding Green Monster games, and I've been playing MMOs since EQ and UO. Played a lot of WoW, and pretty much every MMO that's come out that hasn't been some cheesy free-to-play knockoff from Korea. And that's about it, I guess. I'm currently the Guildmaster of First Watch, which is the best Copernicus-related guild out there, I think.
Possibly the only Copernicus.
Well,
Copernicus
that's
guild.
not really important to say, just that we're the best.
We should mention that he's a gnome.
I do enjoy playing gnomes. They are the best race in any MMO. Anybody who says otherwise is lying.
Okay, that's good. Let's move on to our first topic, character backgrounds.
Alright, so the plan was that we basically just wanted this episode to be about lore, so we're going to talk about sort of our characters more from sort of a role-playing perspective than from build. So my character Narria, I have talked about her a lot on the show. She, one of my favorite things about this game is that when your character wakes up, they don't really remember where they came from. They don't remember their past. They don't remember what they've done. And so I loved that I actually didn't really have to make a character background for my character. That she woke up and I've sort of been developing her character as I've been playing her. As you play through the game, you discover little bits and pieces about your past. And so she's starting to remember things as I play through the game, but for the most part, she doesn't really remember a lot about her history. But I do play her as a good character. She doesn't do the traveler quests. Because she doesn't want to steal from people, and so really she's like, the more she is into the world, the more the responsibility of the fact that she has no fate and the things that she does affect the fate of the people around her, that sort of weighs on her, and she feels a heavy sense of responsibility because of that. And so she's always thinking, she doesn't ever do anything thoughtlessly. She's always thinking, okay, I'm going to go fight this guy because this person asked me to, and how is that going to affect the people around him? And everything is much more than just go do this thing. It affects the whole world around her, and she feels that responsibility pretty much all the time. And I do write a journal for her. I haven't in a while, and I apologize for anyone who does read that, but I'm hoping to start doing that again soon. But I've written a couple days of a journal, and you get more of an insight of her, just her thought process and sort of her character. If you read that journal, it's on 38 Watch, and it's in all my signatures. So that's pretty much Narria.
Listener homework, go read Narria's journal.
Absolutely. There's only a couple days on it, so, but it's a neat, I think it's a good way, if anyone's really thinking about how can I develop sort of a role play of a character in a single player game. I mean, I think it's a challenge when you're in a single player game, you're not really interacting with other people. so there's no one really to role play with. Essentially, you're kind of role playing with yourself. And writing, it's not funny. You're not role playing with anyone. All right. Anyways, writing a journal or just writing things from your character's perspective is a good way to be able to develop that. So,
what race did you choose?
She's Losifar.
Lame.
Yeah. Yeah.
I agree with Rec. Lame.
Well, I couldn't play a gnome. If I could have played a colossi, that's what I would have played, because that is
in a heartbeat
my favorite. And this is like anyone who's at 38 who's listening, please put them in Copernicus, please, 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 because I want to play one so badly. But no, she's an elf.
My character Halaskios is a rogue, and he's sort of a good rogue. He's the in one of the videos that I had put on YouTube, I said that he was the honorable brigand, and part of that is he does do the Traveler's Quest line, unlike Narria's character. But his thought is, hey, I'm here to save the world, so I have to do what I have to do to get it done. Yeah, so I don't necessarily roleplay him, but his background would more be he was a bit, not an assassin, but he was a stealthy, sneaky type guy, kind of like Aelin Shear.
I'm very, very sneaky, sir.
I still miss Mighty Bossner.
Yeah, no, a lot of people are missing Bossner. I'm trying to do a Might Finesse hybrid, but it's not working out too well. No, that's just not. You know what it is? I can't play, and this maybe is a role playing thing. Hybrids just don't work for me. I'm just all over the place with them, and just not. I'd rather focus on one thing, I guess.
Yeah, I think it is. I play Narria from a build perspective. I play her as a hybrid, but I have not, from a roleplay perspective, up until just very recently, I've been playing her very from a might. She wears armor. She has the chakrams, but she's in melee all the time. And so I kind of have played her from a might mindset, but I've slowly been, as I've been starting to put more points into sorcery, I've been changing that RP mindset, and now she is more interested in using magic, and she's more, my thought process is more, she can do these magical things, and where did that come from? And so that, as I start to write the journal again, will start to come out.
Right, and something else nice about the elves in Amalur is that they're not dainty.
True.
They're actually kind of human.
True.
And they're not like that cool. They're
they are too cool.
They're not much better than humans.
Yeah, well, that's why that's what makes them cool, is that they're not these. I don't know what you call them. Elves. They're not typical elves. They're basically humans, just with pointy ears, and
they don't look like they would blow away in a strong wind. Which is what in most games, elves are portrayed more as like wispy, sort of, even the fighters are like that. So I agree. I appreciate the fact that they kind of, I know a lot of people complain that, it's all four the same. But I think it to a certain degree in this aspect, it's kind of cool that they don't look like they should only be doing magic or whatever. So,
they look like sissies.
We're not inviting you back to the podcast, just so everyone knows. This is it.
Awesome.
Is there anything in the lore that sort of makes them? I know they're called the Alfar. They're basically elves, but is there anything in the lore that's specifically elvish that would make you go, "Oh, those are"? If you didn't know that they were elves and you were just reading up on them.
Pointy ears.
Yeah.
Well, I do think that they point them out as being
feminine,
like a little bit more. Oh no, like more. That's not what I was gonna say. They point them out as being more studious, and they definitely point them out as being more interested in magic. I think, if I'm remembering correctly. So, and that usually elves are tied to magic, so they are. They talk about them in the lore as being like the ones that are, I think they are the ones that made, I forget what the name of the order is at the very beginning of this age. Order of the Ash, maybe?
Yeah, it was the Order of the Ash based in the city of Fear or whatever.
Yeah.
Speaking of weird names, how do you pronounce your name, Bill? Do you pronounce the H? Plaskios?
Yeah, I don't know. Just kind of whatever you want to say. You can just call me Bossner still. I honestly, I'm just like, oh, Bossner the Rogue. I just gave him a different name so I could if I had to guess, and this was something that came up with Bossner, how do you pronounce that? I would say Hlaskios, like maybe the H is in Hlask. I'm from Jersey, so I don't even speak English.
So Rek, tell us about your character.
My character's name is Dolkin. That means the dagger in some European language. And he was basically reborn on top of a pile of dead corpses. It was pretty traumatizing. Doesn't remember his past, but he went on to save the world. So he's a pretty cool dude. What about you, Nybling?
My character is a Varani because I could not play a gnome. It's a complete pure sorcerer build, though I have some points in might for the block and the other thing that boost up your hit points and resistances. And his name is obviously Nybling, and if anybody has ever wondered where that name stems from, it stems from the term Nybling, which comes from a race of dwarves, dealing with the whole legend with Siegfried and things like that. You can Google that if you want to know more. I don't have any background story for him. Basically, I just play the game, doing quests. Sometimes I do the bad thing, sometimes I do the good thing. It's mostly chaotic neutral. Though, I have no qualms about killing a bunch of guards. I've done that a few times. Wiped out a town full of guards once. And, that's pretty much about it, I guess. I don't really have much role-playing with him. Though I did make him look like a child predator. Chris Hansen would be proud about that. He's got some slicked back hair and a little stash, a little goatee action going on. It's like the most ridiculous looking facial features, but hey.
I'm just gonna stop you right there.
Oh, jeez.
You're making more work for you.
I'm actually gonna keep that in.
Awesome.
All right, our next topic is our favorite lore in Reckoning, or our favorite quest. What you guys got?
I will go first on this because I am very excited about this. This is the first time ever in a video game where I actually had to think about something that I was about to do. The times that I've raided Guildbanks in WoW, I didn't even have to think about that, and that's a moral decision involving real people. So my favorite quest line in all of Reckoning that I've done so far is the finale to the House of Ballads quest. I made a post on the official forums about this, trying to get opinions because I had no idea what to do. You think it's okay to divulge spoilers this long into the game? 2 months?
I think for this one, sure, it is, because the game's been out for a while.
Okay. So basically at the end of the House of I'll say if you haven't done the House of Ballads, skip maybe 4 minutes ahead, and I'll stop talking.
La 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 la.
Yeah, exactly. So at the end of the quest line, the Maid of Windermere, who is the whole problem behind the House of Ballads quest line, she's capturing all the heroes from the house. And she basically, as you're attacking her to kill her, which is how the ballad's supposed to go, she basically says to you that it's unfair that she's constantly the villain, and because of fate, she can't do anything to change it until the Tuatha offer her the power to do so, and then she takes advantage of that. So at first glance, it's kind of like, oh, you're the bad guy, I'm just going to kill you, screw you. But there's nuances to it, which I think are really well played out by Big Huge and their lore writers, because I myself am defying fate. So I, of all people, should understand that when you don't have a fate, I'm presumably saving the world. I'm doing good things. So, the only example of someone not having a fate would be that they could go and do good things and help people out and change the world, basically. So on one hand, I was like, well, I really don't want to kill her because, who am I to say I'm fateless as well? So I would probably do the same thing in her shoes. On the other hand, though, she did conspire with the Tuatha, which I know are bad guys. They're the bad guys in the game. And, it's not really my place. I'm not Fae. So it's, should I be going around making decisions for that whole house and stuff? So yeah, I thought that the actual thinking and self, I don't know what you would call that, self-exploration and actually like what kind of emotional and moral and ethical and reasonable decision that I needed to make, to the point where I actually paused the game and asked my wife what I should do, and she was like, it's a video game, just go play. So yeah, what I wound up doing, I actually wound up letting her live. Oh no, what I did was I let her live on one save, and then killed her on the other save, and then I looked at what the outcomes were, and they were.
It was pretty much the same.
Yeah, it was actually down to the wire, almost the same. The twist of fate wasn't even any different. So I wound up loading the save where I had killed her just for the experience bonus.
Yeah, I think the House of Ballads is really my favorite too, and I think because it's really the first one that at least I in my playthrough came across where you got really involved with that group of people, and again, like Bossner said, this concept of how your character is changing things because they are fateless, I think it just lends so much to every aspect of the roleplay in the game, because everything they do changes not only that person that they're engaging at that moment, but like a ripple effect in a lake. It goes out from there. And so I've seen a few different instances where what Bossner described, that I was asked, do I want to do something or not? And I really had to stop, I would stop and think. I know if I go this way, it's going to happen one way, but if I choose this way, it's going to happen a different, and what do I choose and which do I pick? And I think something interesting while Bossner was talking that came to my mind was this concept of my character is good, so I don't want to rampage through a town and kill a whole bunch of people, and I'm not going to go and rob banks and all that kind of stuff. But maybe in the course of your character being good, the good thing to do is to kill someone. And how do you sort of reconcile that? Because, morally it's not good to kill people. So, in the beginning, Narria was trying to avoid that, and she was just trying to not kill anyone unless she really felt forced to. And the more I played, the more that concept of, maybe even though it's not right to kill someone in the bigger picture, you just have to for the right outcome to happen. So I think that's just the concept of being fateless really, I think, changes your perspective from a role play perspective at how you're looking at things. But I agree that I think the ballads have been my favorite. The House of Ballads has been my favorite quest line so far. I say that with the caveat that I love the Colossi, and I'm hoping that I will walk away from this expansion that we just got with a new favorite. So we'll see. I've only played about an hour of it, so I don't know, but I may find one in there that tops House of Ballads.
Plus, she hasn't played any of the other quest lines either. But
that's not true. Do not listen to him. He is lying to you. I've played over half the game, so I've played a lot of quest lines.
I know Nybling has a complete game. He's done every quest, at least for the vanilla and first DLC.
Yeah, I have.
So what's your favorite?
Well, most of the side quests, I have to say that they're pretty standard quests. As far as the major quest lines go, I have to probably put that up with the Scholia Arcana, mostly because all of the other quests are you cleaning up other people's messes, but the Scolia quests are basically you cleaning up your own mess because of something you did. You have to go through there and take care of the problem. And I think that the last couple of quests in that quest line were actually pretty good. The Warsworn quests were all right too, though I was kind of disappointed with the ending of that. I don't know if you guys have finished those quests or not.
I would have liked that one to have been a bit more climactic at the end. I felt it was kind of anticlimactic.
Well, it was, because I sided with the Niskaru Lord simply because I went through and picked which of those twists of fate were more beneficial to my character in each one of those quest line, and the one for the Warsworn that benefited me the most was to be Forsworn. But after you do his quest, there's like nothing else following that up. You know, you don't know what's happening with this Niskaru Lord, and I was really disappointed by that. And I think that was probably one of the most disappointing quest lines to me, other than, say, Dead Kel, and that's only because I'm kind of sick and tired of pirates, and I think they're being overdone.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, when they announced Dead Kel, I was just like, you gotta be kidding me.
But it's pirates.
Well, pirates are cool, but I gotta say, Dead Kel kind of looks like the guy from the third Caribbean movie. Actually, I think he was in number 1, 2, and 3.
Davy
Jones?
Yeah.
Is that who's? He kind of reminds me of him in a way.
Nope.
And I don't think Dead Kel's like a squid.
I felt bad for him, but
Why?
I don't know. I just did. I just felt like he...
How is your character supposed to be good and moral, and you feel bad for a pirate who pillages, murders, and rapes?
I felt bad for him because it really wasn't his fault. I mean, he got taken by this god and twisted into this thing. And then he was just trying to get revenge for it. So...
Well, it wasn't really a god, it was a tree.
Well, whatever. Anyways... So Derek...
By the way, since you played a female character at the end of that quest line, do you still hook up with the female elf captain, or is it just males only?
Of course I do. She's awesome. I love her. Heck yeah.
I had to ask because I didn't know.
It's funny that you say that because I did just do that like maybe yesterday or the day before. No, maybe it was today because I wanted to get off of Gallows End so I could get into the new DLC, and that I got to that point where I talked to her again and she was like, I want sex. And I was like, well, this is a little awkward. And I'm like, okay, take me back now. But no, I sort of read one of the threads in the official forums about that, that whole, I know there was a big discussion about that whole marriage, and some people posted, well, I'm a girl and I don't want to have to be forced to marry a girl, and so...
that should be the law all over the nation. What are you talking about?
Anyway, we're going to steer quickly away from that topic because we don't want to get into that. But
wait, we don't want to talk about manic pixie dream elves.
Anyways, yeah.
Oh, wow.
Right.
And the show has reached a new low.
So, Derek, tell us what your favorite questline was.
Oh, geez. I can't really pick out a favorite. Of course, one that stands out is where you battle Octien. I mean, because you get to, like, you know...
You get to beat up a gnome.
This is anti-gnome racism here.
Yeah, bonus points because Nybling's character in EverQuest 2 is called Octien. But the whole, like, you know, batting him through a window or whatever, like your Kurt Schilling was pretty sweet.
Yeah, Kurt was a pitcher, though, so it's not really a...
Yeah, like, pitchers are really known for their hitting.
Jeez.
I still want to talk to Blackguard and ask him, dude, why did you allow this? You're supposed to be, you know, a brother to the gnomish people, and this
Yep,
was
you only kill one.
completely anti-gnomish.
Well, to be fair, you only kill like one gnome. The rest of them are humans, if I'm remembering right.
That's one too many.
Although, speaking of killing the other gnomes, the Traveler quest where you have to go get Grim out of the own stand. Yeah. Lots of gnome killing in there.
But overall, yeah, I can't really pinpoint a quest which I thought had like the best story, but just the main quest line in general, I really love. I really, Reckoning gets that kind of, people say it's generic fantasy, you know, it's got your elves, got your gnomes, your swords and magic, but the whole story of the well just really sticks out to me as unique. I love the idea of the well, and that in Copernicus we have a reason that you come back when you die. You come back, you're fateless, which I'm not so sure about, and maybe we can kind of talk about this. As far as being fateless, supposedly you're going around, you're changing people's fate. Like maybe somebody's supposed to die, but something you do keeps them from dying. And supposedly that wasn't supposed to happen to that person. So then that person's going to go on living and then change the fates of others. And it's like this super contagious virus that just spreads across the land. And who knows, maybe fate will just disappear all completely. But the problem I have with it is the whole fate thing in the game really kind of like hurts my brain. Is I don't understand how you come back fateless. Like, shouldn't that have been your fate? And I'm almost wondering if, you know, Agarth or the Fate Weavers or whatever, if they have it wrong, and that you aren't fateless. Like, this is your fate, and you're just going around the world doing awesome things, and you know that was the plan all along. You know, in this universe.
Actually, Bob brings up a real interesting point in the. Who was he interviewed? Day 9. I think the launch event when they were interviewing the visionaries. The fate actually exists view, according to Bob Salvatore, is the view of the guys at Big Huge Games. I think he said the lore guys there. Bob actually came out and said, if I'm now this might be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I'm remembering this right, that fate actually doesn't exist, and that the what would be like the Illuminati of Amalur insists that it does to sort of keep people down. And your character is not fateless. He just has, because people think he's fateless, they go, well, if he can change his fate, why can't I? And that's sort of the underlying thing from it. So yeah, I mean, you could definitely be onto the right track there. And the great thing about it is the guy who wrote, I mean, they hired this guy to create the world, and he says one thing, and the developers that actually write, you know, the minute lore and the low level details, they disagree. So it's kind of a parallel to our world where nobody knows, because, you know, the two people that would be officially answering that, you know, does fate exist, they're going to disagree on it. So it might not, and it might, you know, so we actually have no way of actually knowing.
I think it'd be awesome if, like, in the sequel, you find out that either, fate doesn't exist, or you weren't the fateless one, you know? Like, that was your fate to do all these awesome things. The only, like, little gap I see is the fate energy or whatever it's called when you go into reckoning mode. Like, how do you explain that then? Is that, like, some, you know, extra blessing that, you know, your god is giving you, or what is that?
Well, I don't know. Who has finished the main quest here?
I have.
Yeah, I have
Everyone but me.
Okay. Well,
That's fine. You can talk about it.
The two things I would bring up, first of all, is I can't remember where I saw this, but I'm pretty sure that in Copernicus, everybody's going to be fateless. Like, during that point in the timeline, like, fatelessness has become, you know, widespread, or whatever you want to call it. But as far as your character goes, I'm pretty sure he is the fateless one, because going through the main quest, you know, you learn about Tiernach and how Tyrnok was the one that orchestrated your return, simply so that you could orchestrate her being released and stuff like that due to bypassing fate. So unless they're kind of two different paths, I guess, or two different philosophies between the people who are writing this stuff, I can't really say, but it seems to me like maybe they didn't want to come out with too much information when the game first came out about how fate worked, so that people could kind of go through the main quest and learn about things through that.
Yeah, I mean, they could be pulling a Final Fantasy Tactics where you're not actually playing, it's somebody telling a story, and they just sort of wrap it in some kind of sequel or something. Oh, remember Reckoning? Well, that was actually just some guy's memory of what happened based on history books.
Inception.
And just as a sort of a caveat, if you have the strategy guide, I saw this last night as I was looking through it in prep for this this episode. The very last page of the strategy guide is basically the story of how Amalur came into existence. So it talks about like there was nothing, and then where the gods came from, and like first there was order and chaos, and sort of how everything developed from them, and that is another good sort of insight into all this that we've been talking about. Like, if you understand where fate came from and sort of what the plan was, I think that gives you sort of more of an understanding. I sort of read it and had kind of an aha moment of suddenly everything kind of made a little bit more sense to me. So if you have the strategy guide and you haven't had a chance or didn't know that the very last page is the sort of the story of how Amalur came into existence, I would highly recommend reading that. I think it gives you a lot of sort of insight into where people are coming from.
Was it Eru Iluvatar giving people the flame imperishable?
I don't remember all the specifics.
That was Lord of the Rings nerd level stuff there.
What is that, like the Silmarillion?
Yeah, Silmarillion, yeah.
I did not read the. This is probably gonna, like, people are gonna want to take away my
Your talking privileges.
I did not read the Lord of the Ring books, so.
How dare you?
For our next topic, we're going to talk about the Teeth of Naros Q&A that Musepad posted earlier this week. Teeth of Naros is the second DLC that came out on the 17th of April, which should be roughly, 5 days ago. First, we're going to pick a couple of these questions that are sort of lore related to keep it pertinent to the theme of the episode. The first one by Cam140 is the new race also going to be like a different creature altogether and not just another kind of fae?
I would say so.
Yeah, no, it definitely is. It's the answer is Giantkin. So they are the cousins of the Jotun and the Etten?
Yeah, they seem to me a lot like golems, the stone creatures that are alive. That's the impression I got from them. Their society also seems to be heavily leaning towards like ancient Greek type of culture.
Right, and it's something interesting about them. They're Giantkin, but untraditionally, they're advanced. They're the advanced race. They have advanced magic.
They didn't start that way though. They were just like your kind of like run of the mill hill giants or whatever.
Right.
And then like their goddess Athene, for some reason, really liked them, and over time, she would let them, have the ability to get into magic and intellectual stuff, and even over time, they started to take the form, like their appearance changed over the years, and they actually kind of more resembled the goddess Athene.
They have very unique debating styles as well. There is a early quest in the DLC where you can see what a Colossi debate is like. It's pretty interesting.
I'll make a note not to get anything wrong about them. I have two people here who were very quick to correct me. Now I can't remember what who or what is Naros. Naros is a troll god, and he has teeth. So there we go. Will we actually meet the Colossae? Both of those questions, or both of these questions, I should say, are by Gossamer. The answer is hell's yes. You and the Colossae, I'm still saying it wrong, will be like this. You can't see it right now, but I'm crossing my index finger with my middle finger. Who's answering these? Oh, Tom Murphy, narrative designer. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, you actually meet the Colossae as soon as you go through the first little cave. You run smack dab right into them. Your status with them is like as if you're a religious figure.
Essentially, you're like her.
You're like her envoy to help the Colossae move on, or to move past fate.
Right. Although they don't realize that right away. I mean, I want to give people a chance to sort of get into it themselves, but right after you talk with her, then you go out of the cave and you smack dab run into the Colossae right away, and they are, of course, like. In fact, one of my favorite lines so far is you come up to this Colossae and he's like, "What are you, some Jutton that has a runt Jutton that has the case of the mange?" It's like an awesome line. But they all kind of look at you like you're this little insect that they have to deal with, and until they notice that you have this special thing, and then they kind of realize that you're maybe more important than they thought by first looking at you, and so it's kind of cool. But
all right, so related to questions, we do have another user that asked some questions of us, and these are sorcery questions. Nick Bellamy on Facebook had posted these, and so Rachel, do you want to answer these as I read them off?
I can try. Jeff might be better because he's got a pure sorcery character, and I'm sure he knows much more about, because I am just not a stat person, so he probably knows a lot more about them than I will, but I will try to help if I can.
Okay. All right, the first question, is it worth putting one point into Mark of Flames to get the Smolder ability if you were using fire damage chakrams, or would it be a waste of points?
I have no idea. This is why I think Jeff would be better, because I don't. My playstyle just does not lend itself to 1 point nuances like that. So I honestly have no idea.
Oh, by the way, he's looking like he's going for a Universalist build.
Oh, he's going for a Universalist build?
Yeah, but he's asking questions about sorcery.
Well, if he's going into Smolder, that does increase all of your burning damage, which I think that does affect like your upfront damage with chakrams. So you might actually, that's going to affect only the damage over time component. So it might not be the best place to go. If he was going pure sorcery, I would say that's a definite requirement, because Meteor is pretty awesome. But if he's going to go with Universalist build, I would actually maybe suggest he looks at something like Ice Barrage. I found that spell is very useful against a lot of things, especially Niskaru and Niskaru Lords. I can pretty much two-shot most of the big Niskaru Lords now by just hitting 2 Ice Barrages in a row. That and Sphere of Protection and the Healing Surge are probably the 3 spells he really would want to go to from sorcery.
Okay. His second question is about Mark of Flames versus Stormbolt, assuming that they're both boosted by the next ability up in the tree, either Chain Lightning or Smolder. He's asking which one does the most damage and which do you find most useful?
I honestly don't use any of those spells anymore. If I'm going to use a spell, it's either going to be the Ice Barrage or Elemental Rage or Meteor. But if what he's going on his build, I would probably go ahead and use the Stormbolt, because you can access Stormbolt and Chain Lightning earlier than you can get Mark of Flame and Smolder. And there's a lot more enemies that are resistant to fire than there are lightning or ice. So those are the elements that I would push for.
Okay, and do you have any tips for a Universalist build in general? Because he never seems to have enough points. My suggestion to that would be go pure build, but that's not really helpful.
Yeah, I haven't played a Universalist build. It really seems kind of pointless to me to actually play one, since the biggest boost for a Universalist build is the bonus to skills, and you can pretty much max out all your skills if you game the system anyway.
Okay, so I guess it would really depend on what he's trying to gain from playing Universalist.
Right.
Okay. All right, so those were his 3 questions. Nick, thanks a lot for posting them. Hopefully they're still relevant by the time you listen to this.
If anyone listening has anything they want us to answer on the show, please send it in. Or if you have a suggestion for a segment or something, or topic, go for it.
Yeah, definitely. Not that we're struggling for topics here, but definitely fan-generated topics would be exciting to talk about, I think.
Right.
Especially if we could get you guys sort of interacting with it a little bit.
Or you can go to 38 Watch and post in the Reckoning forum there. Or if you are a Redditor, there is a Kingdoms of Amalur subreddit where all your questions can be answered as well.
Yeah, well, we could just plug everything we do.
We're on Facebook. We're on Twitter.
Oh,
If you go to
did we want to announce? I know we had posted it, but did we want...
Oh, we did. Yeah, we could say William Fan, and I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that wrong, won the game key and the DLC key from our last episode. We basically had a contest for... we picked a random person who liked us from the last episode, and then a week out, and he was the random person, and I very randomly printed all of the names on a piece of paper and cut them all up into pieces and put them in a bucket and randomly picked one. So congratulations, William. I have already sent him his information, so I hope you enjoy the game, and go like us on Facebook. We're on Facebook, we're on Twitter. You can go to our webpage, which is thewellpodcast.com, and see all of the different places where we are, and definitely get hooked into 38 Watch. It's a good place to be.
Yeah. And we make changes to the agenda for the episode throughout the week. So there's no wrong time to suggest something. So definitely, guys, let us know.
All right, we just want to thank Nybling for coming on. You're welcome to come back anytime, buddy.
Thanks.
Got anything you want to say to the community?
Yes, I would like for anybody who is a quality member of the overall Amalur community to please feel free to visit firstwatchguild.com. I'm sure that the fine people here, mostly Rek and Bossner, will throw a link to that on the Well blog page. And it's been fun talking to you guys. Even Narria.
Because I'm such a good friend with Jeff, and he enjoys when I do this, especially when Narria and Rachel is present. Boosh!
Boosh!
Yeah,
Yes.
so... Although I gotta think of something new. Maybe I do have to kind of go hybrid so I can boosh a little bit more. Just boosh all over the place.
You're a boosh bag.